Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Just Put Paint on It with me, Skari,
there it
your
is.
grateful host.
There's the energy.
Wonderful co-hosts down here, and even more amazing guests. This is your every Thursday and Friday show, 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, where we sit, we chat, we hobby sometimes, we talk with wonderful people from all around the hobbying and miniature wargaming world. Just in general, great people. We get to meet them, we get to ask questions, we get to just hang out in this awesome, amazing time. So get your paintbrushes, get your hobby, get your whatever it is you're doing, and let's chat and just put paint on it, which is the whole point of the show. This is episode 5. Today we've got Nicole from the Vanguard Tactics team. Woo! And really excited to have you on.
Thank you. I'm really excited to be here.
That's fantastic. Awesome. I am today. So what I'm working on today, I'm going to be building some Corsairs from the new kit. And for some reason, this camera has died. Well, that's, you can see a still frame of my amazing camera. Heck yes. Amazing times.
Good old
Let's
technical.
see if it works. Oh, there we go. Now you can see my hand. Perfect. Haha, fixed. That was a quick fix. Other than that, Tanya, why don't you tell us who you are, where you're from, and how folks can find you?
Well, I'm Tanya, and I like to play games and paint little miniatures, and you can find me on my own YouTube channel. You can also find me on Instagram. Sometimes I tweet stuff, but it's usually just to be sassy. And you can also find me on Forge the Narrative podcast this Saturday. You don't want to miss it. This new episode is just full of absolute sass, and it's not from me. It's from Red. It's amazing. Don't miss it.
What is going on with the world if the sass isn't coming from Tanya Gates?
Well, I would actually say that Red is the sassiest one on the podcast.
There you go. That makes sense.
He's a military man, though, right?
Super sass military man. I guess we should just call him Super Sass.
We should call him Super Sass.
There you go.
Hashtag Super Sass.
Hashtag Super Sass. Make that trend, everyone. Okay. So, without further... And what are you working on today? I didn't ask that question.
Gnoblars. Look how tiny they are.
Gnoblars. Oh my gosh. This is...
I'm so excited.
Outrageous. Gnoblars are the game-winningest game-winning...
Oh my god, they're so powerful. No, but they're really good at blocking off areas of the table, so we keep them around.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense. Aren't they considered food as well for the ogres?
Only if there's nothing better, because they're kind of weedy and
that's right. They Gnoblars actually are quite safe around ogres because they have no meat on them.
Yeah, they don't make good eats, Well, they're not like man. Man is delicious.
Is it really?
Yeah,
is that like
it's
a delicacy for the ogres?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Oh, thank goodness I don't live in the Age of Sigmar universe. Because I would be terrified.
Because you're a man?
Well, I feel like most of us would just die if we lived in any of the universes that we play games in. Like
it's
Age
true.
of Sigmar or 40k. It'd be like, and we're dead. Aliens ate us.
Age of Sigmar is dark. I read one short story, and I was like, no, 2 short stories, and I was like, why are the Ideneth Deepkins so horrifying?
They are. They're terrifying.
They're right.
Teclis
yeah, they have no souls. They gotta eat yours.
Teclis gone done messed up. Without further ado, introducing our wonderful guest, Nicole from the Vanguard Tactics team. Hello, Nicole. How are you?
Hello. I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Fantastic. Thank you so much for coming on the show. Really excited
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, tell us a little about who you are, where you're from, what you do, and if you are hobbying today, what are you hobbying on?
So, some people might know me from Vanguard Tactics, but I very doubt it. But I am the more behind-the-scenes person at Vanguard Tactics. I help with production, social media, running the academy, all that kind of stuff. And to be fair, I never really got into the hobby until recently when Steve is now teaching me how to play 40k, 40k the right way, as he says. But it is very, very difficult to learn. Like, there are so many rules and I am so confused. And I've been trying to learn it for a year, but we finally like sat down and found time to go through all the basics and all the measurements and all the dice rolls. Like, there's so many dice rolls. I just don't have enough hands to do all these rolls with. I've got quite big hands, but I just can't pick up all these dice and it stresses me out a little bit. But I've been learning to play, and I am working on today. I'm doing some sponging on enactment, battle zone terrain that we actually use. I'm just sponging some dirt on it, making it look really nasty.
I have a tip,
by the way.
I have a tip for the dice, and it's also psychological warfare. So you pick up as many dice as you can, but you leave some out, and you just go to your opponent and be like, oh, can you help me? I don't have enough hands. Can you just like put the rest of those dice in my hands, please? And then, then they're like, man, that's a lot of dice. I'm like, it is.
Yeah. There's so many dice, like, be prepared. Like, so many, I couldn't hold them all. You had to help me. You should be scared.
Exactly.
I like it.
I will say, just from a dice, perspective, that it can be dicey.
Skari? No.
And it begins.
Has it even been 10 minutes of stream yet?
Has it even been 10 minutes? I don't know. Don't put me in a cube, Bucks. Don't
put you in a gelatinous cube.
I know. No, I don't want to melt. But hello, chat. How is everybody doing? Hey, Hydra says, this is Equal Hams fan. Says, hang on, this isn't Twitch. Correct, we are not doing Season 3 of Just Put Paint on It on Twitch. We're doing it on YouTube. We found that it's very nice for me to be able to save all of these episodes and put them on a really cool playlist called Season 3 Just Put Paint on It, which you can find if you've missed any of the episodes, or if you're just tuning in for the first time. You can go watch any of the 30-some episodes that we will have eventually on Season 3 on the playlist, and see all the guests, and chat with them, and see what questions were asked, and what they answered, and all that good stuff. But, so it's a little bit user-friendly here. A melon cube, that's right. How about those seedless watermelons? How do they do it? Yay, Nicole in the house, says Simone Conti. JC says, hello all. Zen Nargle says, hello. Adam Wadowski says, hello. Hello, everyone Adam. In chat. Zen says, I've been wanting to get some Corsairs, I'm assuming. The models are so cool.
How do you know? It might be Noblars.
No, because it was posted when I was talking about Corsairs. So I know it's Corsairs, right, Zen? You got my back on this. Hail Hydra says, Hams fans still never won a game with my guard. One day, though. Well, now the guard got a cool little boost, so... there's actually a competitive guard army that is going to the Kenhammer team tournament that's in the team that we get to face first round, which has like 7 Lehman Russ Demolishers.
Oh, I see it's changed things up a lot, has it?
No, it has not. It's the same thing
it hasn't.
It's just now
all it does is make you like 15% more efficient.
Correct. If they hit you on 6s, they just auto wound, which is kind of dangerous when you've got like 1 million Demolisher shots.
Yeah. You know what, though? Like, the secret sauce was going to be Scions, right? Because with their, like, bazillion AP3 shots or whatever.
This list has, like, 50 to 60 Scions.
Yeah, but they don't get it. They don't get it.
Sad.
They updated the
They're still
the
pretty
thing.
cool, though.
It is pretty cool, but they don't auto-wound on 6s.
Sad.
That was going to be the secret sauce.
Sad, yeah. Good morning from Texas, says Paul. Hi, what time is it in the UK, Nicole?
Oh, it is like 4 p.m.
Nice.
So I'm afternoon, nearly finished my day. And you guys,
it's 8 o'clock a.m. where I am.
Oh, goodness. That's very early. I didn't even wake up till like 9 today. So.
That's a decent.
I just do it because I love it. I love to hang out with my best friend.
We all.
Oh, we've only just met. That's very nice.
Aww.
Exactly. That's where friends are made, and just put paint on it. And
That's right.
Where friends are made. We need like a little jingle that I can press. That we can like
you
use.
sing as well. That's really good.
Me? Woo-hoo!
Oh, we sing.
We do definitely
we
sing.
sing.
We sing my praises.
We got told off for complimenting Steve too much on stream. So apparently we sing his praises a lot as well.
You can't let the ego get to your head, right? That's the thing. You have to stay humble. And so if people keep on saying nice things about you, sometimes you believe them. You can't allow that.
You can't believe them.
No, it's not.
You can't feel good about yourself, especially if you're on social media.
Exactly.
No.
You have to.
I love that you're saying it loud enough for your giant ego to hear.
Hey, it's the best. The bestest giant ego. Okay.
There is no better giant ego.
No better ego than my ego. I have the best one. There was a brief risk of guard being good until the Scion's clarification. When did they clarify it? Like, did they clarify it with the?
I saw it yesterday.
They clarified it in the update that they did with the like adding in the night thing.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, they cleared it up like 2 days after they posted it or whatever.
Okay, well, I'm glad that they did.
I am glad that they did because like nobody in the guard competitive Facebook group was like excited because we're like, can we take Scions? Can we not take Scions? We have like 5 books that we rely on to play this army and all of them say different things. So I am glad that they clarified it. It just sucks that they like basically said Scions don't.
They're not fun enough for that. Oh, okay, fair enough. So, Nicole, do you do mainly painting, or do you like you said you were playing, but how did you get started into how do you get involved with Vanguard Tactics? As a producer and stuff like that. Is that like what you went to school for, or?
So I have a degree in performing arts, which I mainly did acting and like singing and dancing and stuff like that. But as well as the degree, we did like filming, editing, production kind of side as well. And I was just looking for a job like a couple years after I finished uni, and I saw like locally there was an opportunity for someone like a studio assistant job was going. And it was very local to me, and I live like in the middle of nowhere, so for something like that to be around here is like crazy. So I was like, okay, like I'll apply, like why not? And I had never heard of Warhammer. I had never really heard of like tabletop gaming. The closest thing I've like ever heard of was D&D, and that's it. Like I didn't even know like games like Warhammer existed. I've always been into gaming, but I've only ever I say gaming loosely because I've only ever played like a few Xbox games, but nothing too like insane. And then I had to submit a video, and I was like, oh god, I'm not going to do this. I really thought like I just wasn't going to apply. It was like the day before submission, and I was like, I need to submit a video, and I haven't done anything. Should I just leave it? And then I just applied on a whim, got an interview, and then started working for Steve. And that was kind of how I got into this world, because I didn't really know any of this existed. I looked up a little bit, like I looked at one of the battle reports before I went for the job interview. Had no idea what was going on. Like I was just like, what? Like overwhelmed, insane. Like there's so many words as well that you just like don't know, that are just like Like I think I picked up on Ultramarines, and that was it. Like I thought they were the whole game. I thought it was just them, and so I went in really like smug about knowing what Ultramarines were, and I knew nothing else. Just the word Ultramarines, not what they did, nothing like that. Just that they were blue, and they were called Ultramarines. So I went in, and they were giving me the interview. And I was like, those Ultramarines. And they're like, oh, you play? And I was like,
No.
I was like, they're blue, right? And they like move. You've got to like measure something or, roll some dice in there somewhere. And they were like, well, it's nice that you tried to look it up, but not quite. And then, yeah, I started, that was about a year ago. I think in June or July. And I've been working with Steve since and slowly been picking up names of different armies besides Ultramarines. And then I started like a little learn to play where I was going to do it with demons. And then Slanesh demonettes and stuff like that. I started painting them. And I thought like, I've done makeup, like I'm decent. I can do some like crazy like SFX makeup and stuff like that. I've done that before, so I thought, I'll be fine. These are models, I can paint them, right? That will be relatively easy. I've gone and I've done like, I don't know, clay painting and pottery painting before.
Mm-hmm.
How hard can it be? And I tried it, and oh my goodness, I was so bad at painting.
We all are at the beginning.
So ashamed to show anyone like what I painted because it looked like a 2-year-old had painted it. Like the way it was just like the paint was like not smooth. It was all like liney and like thick and thin everywhere. I had someone trying to tell me how to paint, and obviously like Slanesha, like I went with their original paint scheme was what I was going with.
Mm-hmm.
So they're like gray, purple. They were like paint it brown, and I was like, okay, all right. So I painted it brown and then put a like beige on top, and I was like, oh my god, this does not look anything like the image. And it was to the point where like that made me like never want to paint ever again because it was so bad that I was like, oh my goodness, like this is actually awful. Like I might be the worst person to paint who's ever heard of Warhammer.
I think that you should try it again, but don't try to do the box color because that color is really difficult to do. Like that light kind of pastel-y lilac gray weird color. The paint doesn't go on very nice.
Yeah, I think, well, I resprayed them the other day thinking, I'll start again. And then I sprayed them too close and now they're all bubbly and now I have to strip them or get new ones. So I think Steve is going to like slowly teach me how to paint, but he did say like I've gone with like the worst probably possible one to go with, like skin. Color is like very, very hard to paint. Like I should have really maybe picked like Space Marines and tried to paint them.
I find Space Marines really difficult to paint.
Well, it just depends
really?
on where you're going,
Yeah.
where you're coming from, right? Because you've got like, like some people don't like big flat surfaces when it comes to painting, which is what Space Marines have, right? But some people like big flat surfaces and lots of straight lines, and some people like washing, and it's honestly the key to try the slap chop. Hashtag slap chop.
Yeah, slap chop.
Yeah, apparently that's some sort of thing that's doing the rounds on social media right now about painting.
It's the honest wargamer Rob. It's like the most accessible painting tutorial that you'll ever watch in your entire life.
That's a joke, right? Like it's whole a joke?
No!
Is it not a joke?
No!
Okay.
No, I hate painting tutorials because I feel like they're super pretentious and like they're like reading a recipe on the internet, right? Like they've got your entire life story before they actually get into what they're gonna do, or it's like, this is a beginner tutorial where we do non-metallic metal and glazing and all of that, and like the Honest Wargamer Rob's painting tutorial is literally like 3 steps and it looks awesome. And anybody can do it.
Well, that sounds
Nice.
exciting.
I might have to try that one.
Yeah, and he's sassy, so you know I love it. Yeah.
I like sassy painting tutorials. Yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
you should check it out
I
then.
have a gripe to pick with you, Games Workshop. If you're listening, which you're probably not, but
Ooh,
if
probably
you are,
not, but okay.
why is one leg on one sprue and the other leg on the other sprue, and it's 3 different sprues? Just put the 2 legs that I need side by side. Games Workshop, please. I'm going to be very upset, and it's literally 3 times more me trying to scour 3 different sprues for the opposite leg, or make all the legs just go together. So I can just pick one right leg and one left leg and put them together. Anyway, rant over. Sorry, I'm just
Tell
really
me how you
frustrated.
really feel.
It's engineering. No, Keith. No. Engineering is about solving problems, not creating problems. Okay? This is creating a problem. Okay? It's like building a park and then, like, there's a difference between building a park and putting a path in, like, stepstones or concrete, right? And that's like, no, this is where the path is. And you know what happens? You know what happens every time there's a fucking path in the grass, okay, that people use. And that's like the user-friendly path. So an engineer would really just make a park, not put any roads in, wait till the freaking little, like, pathways in the grass get created from people using them, and then pave those little paths. Because
That's a great idea.
what people use, okay? That's what engineering is. Not freaking 4 legs on 2 sprues, okay? Come on.
Okay, so let's back it up here a little bit. Jay Siegs asks Nicole, Nando's or KFC?
Okay.
I know what
I think I'd have to
answer.
go with Nando's.
Yeah, chicken Nando's.
I do love a Nando's, but I'm gonna get roasted because I always go with plainish. I cannot handle spice at all, so but I do love a grilled chicken wrap from Nando's. So that's my plain order, my really plain order, but that's my answer.
Chicken Nando's is absolutely delicious. So I approve.
Do you have Nando's in
Nope.
Canada? No.
No, it's just something that I had when I was in England a few times, getting all my passport sorted out and stuff.
A great story.
It's intentional, Skari. The person designing these sprues has to be a sadist. Yeah, that makes sense. Maybe they're just, hired by
They
Vex
followers
to
of
torture me.
Slanesh?
No, or Dark Eldar. They just
This is
cackle
true.
at my pain and suffering. It's like laughing at my pain and suffering.
Didn't you sign up for that when you started playing Dark Eldar though?
Not willingly.
Oh, okay.
I just, fell into my lap apparently.
Oh, okay.
It's more annoying to have the numbered pieces randomly scattered throughout each sprue. Well,
You know what?
just annoying.
I put
Let's just
together
say it's
some
annoying in
ogres, and I was like, man, these are like 5 pieces, and everything is on the same sprue, and this is awesome. And yeah, then whenever you put together anything on a new sprue, you're like, why is this taking so long?
They're like, they really don't want people to build their models. They're just like, just buy the models and store them in a closet.
Well,
Just collect them.
That is definitely another thing, like, as a beginner trying to come into the hobby, I was like, oh, okay, so you just buy the models. They just, like, come to you. They're just, like, there, and they just, like, come as you see them on the tabletop. And then Steve handed me, like, this plastic sprue, and I was like, what is this? He's like, this is your model, like, go build it. And I was like, okay, so if the game couldn't get complicated enough, now I have to build the models, which I actually really enjoy, but at the time I was like, oh my goodness, like, what is this game?
Yep. Yeah.
It's intense.
Keith says wrong. JC says wrong. Because of all the... Okay, fine. Let the engineers, correct me, please. I'm definitely not.
Wait, are they saying that engineers are supposed to, make things more difficult?
I don't know. I don't know. All I want is to build my models in peace, and I want it to be easy. And is that too much to ask?
Yes.
Yes? Sad. We have 3 Nandos in the GTA. What? There's Nandos in Toronto? Oh, man. I wonder if they deliver to Barrie.
What?
Delicious.
I mean, you could Uber Eats it, but it'll be cold.
Yeah, probably. You know what? I might actually try that. I like Nando's. Cheeky Nando's is quite delicious.
You're gonna Uber Eats it from Toronto?
No. I'll drive down and like go to a Nando's and order like a nice little cheeky Nando's, which I think will be nice, right? No, that wrong was to thinking about 53 and 54 being sequential numbers would be next to each other on a sprue. Yes. They're not.
Yes,
I guess we are wrong to think that would be the right way to do it. You know, sure. You know,
okay,
that
makes sense now.
The wrong way to do it. So let's just get this party on the road and live with it, right? Is that kind of how that works? I don't know. All I know.
Or I could just do like 3D printed models that are like 3 pieces. Done.
Yeah, that is also true. 3D printing is like the new age of like model creation. You know, but in 10 years we'll be like ordering like STLs from GW, and they'll just be
like made to order, and
they'll just literally be doing that. So closest Nando's to Canada looks like it's Chicago. What? No, man. There's one at 832 Bay Street. Keith and Siegs can't agree
just let them
whether
argue.
or not there's a Nando's or not. No, that's anyway. I'm really excited to use these Corsairs, by the way. Just saying, I cannot wait. I am super close.
Enough about you.
Lies.
Nicole, I want to know, was there anything like surprising about Vanguard Tactics when you joined? Like, what were you most like surprised about to join a bunch of absolute wonderful dorks?
Yeah, I mean, I think as well, like Steve is definitely breaks one of the stereotypes when it comes to like tabletop gaming and things like that. Like I've never really heard of, like I said, I had never heard of it. The only kind of like thing that I had got was D&D from films, where they do like stereotype it as like, you know, nerdy guys in the basement playing, you know, games. And it was like I met Steve, and he used to be like this model bodybuilder, and he's like, yeah, so I'm, you know, I make videos moving models around the table. And I was like, okay, cool. Like, because I think like, I don't know, I look at Steve and I wouldn't think he's like that relatable to me. In a way, like he really enjoys fitness. That is not me. Like kind of like that. And I was like, he is not going to be this like nerdy guy who loves gaming. And like, I think, and that's one of the big things that I've learned like throughout the community is that there's like stereotypes don't really exist in wargaming. Like when you actually dive into it, like all the people I've met are so lovely and so welcoming as well. Because that's what I was like, one thing I was really scared of is like, I feel like I'll play the woman card, but as a woman sometimes going into like something that's heavily male dominated and like gaming, I was like really scared that I'd start playing and they're like, why are you playing? Or like, you know, or be like, you know, you're doing this wrong, and be like really patronizing towards me, or just, you know, just kind of like that. And it could not have been further from that I experienced, which was really lovely. Like everyone's really, really supportive and helpful. And, you know, they actually value my opinion as a beginner as well, which is really, really nice. I'm not just like pushed to one side and been like, well, you know nothing. They're like, okay, that's an interesting way to look at it. Like, so I really enjoy that. So that's been something that entering this world has been very different and very crazy. But yeah, and working with Steve as well, like I think I'm going to take credit for this. I'm going to give myself credit, but it's probably not me at all. But I feel like he's become slightly less serious on stream, because when I first when I first like started watching his streams and stuff, it was all very serious. It wasn't that serious, but like as in like, you know, there is no swearing in that. I think that's a good decision. You know, we want to keep it family friendly and things like that. So that's not like the serious part that I'm talking about, but it's like having a joke and stuff and things going wrong can really cause a lot of stress. And I think as time's gone on, just the like VT as a whole, we've become a bit more relaxed with it. Like we're still improving like quality and stuff like that, but you know, about joking about things going wrong, like just ripping into each other and things like that. It's just a bit more relaxed. Like I think Steve is a very like relaxed person, especially as a boss. And I don't think that necessarily translates sometimes when you see him on camera, because that's just his humor is like is very serious, and some people don't get that. So I used to be like, people would ask me like, because it was just me and Steve like who worked in the office for like a good 6 months, and then Michael joined us, and now we've got Seb. And it was just us two, and people would be like, "Does he talk to you?" Like he's like they would be like, "Does he say anything to you?" And I was like,
Does he
"Of course
speak?
he does. Like, what do you mean? Like, of course he talks to me. You know, we're like they're like, what do you talk about?" And I'm like, you know, we just have like normal conversations. Like he's not like you know, I think like they thought he was super serious and like just didn't speak, but he's literally like one of the friendliest guys that you'll actually meet. Like he's just so lovely.
Mhm.
But I think he just looks so serious on camera, and if you do apply like stereotypes of like bodybuilders and like guys who are a bit like in shape, it's sometimes intimidating. So I guess they like thought like, oh, he doesn't talk to her, like she sits in the corner in the dark and we don't talk to each other. Like no, of course we do. Like I would say like,
he's funny though, because he's like a joker.
oh
I don't
yeah,
know.
like
I don't know if people like
For
catch
the quest.
that for the quest. Yeah, but like, yeah, I think it probably is the delivery, because like his jokes and stuff are also like deadpan.
yeah, he has a
Right?
very dry sense of humor, and
Yeah.
like that's what I find like funnier. Like I find really funny when he just like is so serious and we're all like, wait, is he joking? He like bursts out laughing or something. But like round the office, like this is also why I wanted to start like my little own behind the scenes like Instagram, is because I want like everyone to see the like weird side of Steve as well. I feel like he's gonna watch this and be like, Nicole, you're taking the Instagram down. You're never going on like any talk show again. Like, no. But like, you know, he's like dancing around the office, singing. Steve spends like 98% of his time singing or humming and dancing. So I think, you know, that's not the guy that you see kind of behind the camera when he's like rolling in a bit more serious, jokey, is not the same guy who would be like singing and dancing in the studio as well. But
Nice. Well, if
that's
we can
what I'm
ever
trying
get
to
a
catch.
private show, I think
Yeah.
think I'll
Be a
take it.
private dancer.
It'd be really fun.
Dancer for money.
Good. Simone says it's good to see so many new faces in the hobby. Good positive vibes. Yeah, like it's
Yeah.
really awesome to see new people pick up the hobby and play and collect and hobby, and it can be very intimidating if you are either just getting back into it, or if you know, it can be intimidating for folks. So it's nice to see Dance Off Steve versus Skari. Oh, buddy. Oh. If you think dancing is cool, just wait till you see skinny
Just wait
white
till
boy
you
dancing.
get a load of Skari. Hey, you used to be a dancer. Bingo.
Choreographed, okay? It was a dance troupe, and we did choreographed dances. So can I do, you know, like some random
Like
choreographed
interpretive.
hip hop? Sure, but is it gonna be a funky white boy dance? Absolutely, because I don't got no. I got the white boy dancing. I'm like, yeah, I got a little stick up my butt and I'm really stiff.
Hey, you know what?
I could do glow sticking. You want me to do some glow sticks like I'm at a rave? I can glow stick.
Yes.
You know, with
I
like
feel
the glow
like
sticks.
that's the joy of dancing, though, is just pretend like nobody's looking and just move your body. That's it.
Move your body.
That's it. Did you just
Yeah.
Backstreet Boys me?
And we just got demonetized. Dang it! For like 2 seconds of show. Wah wah wah. And all I took from that is Skari was in the troop. The laughing god is pleased. Yes, definitely.
You would be.
Mm-hmm.
You would be a Harlequin. You wouldn't be a Dark Eldar.
You think I'd be more of a Harlequin? Yeah, I guess that's true. Harlequins
Yeah, I
are still
do.
kind of crazy. Like, they're
Yeah.
legit nuts. If you didn't watch that last episode of The Exodite, do it. Because, spoiler alert, the Harlequins make an appearance. And it's badass. Anyway. Just saying. Wait, that's not the cover for my super glue. This is why I
I feel like
Skari. Could do the little LED lights with my fingers. Boop, 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 boop. You know, like the crazy like rave stuff. Yeah,
I
was
feel
in the
like
right
I feel
crowd
like
when I was growing up.
next time I come out to visit, we should have a little rave.
Oh, I got the music for that though.
Yeah.
Infected
Let's
Mushroom
do it.
all the way.
Let's
Love
do
it.
it.
Or GMS. They're like classics, okay? Just saying. You know what's really fun? In this work trip we did, we went to Vegas, and it was like a big trip, like work business trip in Vegas. Business trip. We won a contest, and we ended up going to Vegas. Anyway, we ended up going into this crazy nightclub, and talked our way into getting like a $1,000 booth for free because we were just salespeople, so we just talked our way into getting like, this big booth with you know, free drink service or whatever. I don't drink, okay, so this is hilarious to me because I don't.
But you're
drink.
an amazing salesman.
Absolutely. Anyway, we just kind of like made friends with somebody who had a booth, and we ended up appropriating the booth for the rest of the night. It was fantastic. Anyway, so that was really fun. And Tiesto was literally at the club that night. Just like that was cool. Yeah.
Did you feel like straight
Tiesto,
up baller?
It was Diablo. Yeah, Don Diablo. Yeah, that was really cool. I enjoyed that. That was really fun. And the NASCAR race that just happened in Vegas, so it was packed. It was packed. I remember when people still hung out in groups. Back in the olden times.
We're so old.
Back
I
in the
remember
olden times.
going out to drink with friends.
Remember when that was a thing, folks? When you could actually hang out with people without the fear of just dying to the sniffles. Oh my gosh. Anyway, hello. Welcome to the show. We're not putting paint on nothing today. We're just laughing. Oh my goodness. See, you
know what? Okay.
Yeah.
So J-Seek says you should have used your skills of persuasion to get unlimited sushi at a sushi bar. I would be scared if you like actually put your salesman hat on for like a goal, because I've seen you put your salesman hat on just to like make people feel happy, and it's incredible.
You mean when I'm talking like a server or something?
Yeah, like when you're talking to like service workers and you were just like so charming. Every time I see that, I'm like
now I get to be a grumpy grognar. Okay, let me be a grognar and just a grump.
You're not grumpy.
I like to be grumpy. Nicole, do I seem like a grumpy person? Putting you on the spot here.
I've only just met you, so I'm not going to answer. No, you don't seem grumpy to me, but you want to be grumpy.
There
so.
you go. That's the spirit.
You're going to have to try really hard to be grumpy, Skari.
Okay, my motto is, life is too short to be grumpy. You know, I saw this Twitter post, and I was yesterday. I know Tanya was trying to compliment me. It's hard for me to take compliments, okay? I'm still...
Meanwhile, your ego's in the back doing this.
Yeah, he's just happy. Yeah. I was on Twitter, and I saw this post by George Takei, right? And
Takei, because it's okay to be...
Takei?
Takei.
Cool. So sorry that I butchered the last name. Cool. But he just turned 85. Okay? 85 years old. And he was like smiling in his little Twitter post and stuff. I was like, that is awesome. And I was like, look, I'm 35 years old. And he's 85. And I feel like he's somebody who still has like great spirit, if that makes sense. Just like a great spirit person. And I was like, I have 50 years to go before I'm 85. That is the entire life that I have lived right now to this point, plus 15 years more to get to that point. And then I go, man, what are the possibilities with that amount of time if I've gone to this point in my life with the amount of time that I've had? Right? Isn't that freaking crazy when you look at it that way? Like, it blows my mind. I'm like, that's amazing. I can't wait. So,
Oh, the places you can still go.
oh, I'm so excited. I'm so excited. And so life is too
Well,
short to be.
That's a very positive way of looking at it. My great nan is 94, and she definitely has more spirit than I do already. Like, I feel like she's younger than me. We sit at the table and she's sprightly, and I'm like half asleep on the end.
You know, I feel like, you know, it's just when you look at things in perspective like that, and it's one of the reasons I love meeting new people, especially in the hobby, right? Like, it's, you know, everybody we meet and we hang out and we create these connections with people, and it's like, it's so cool to surround yourself with folks who have like this like-minded positive energy. And I think it's so fantastic to just surround yourself with people who have got your back. You know what I mean? And that's so important. So
You know
Yeah,
what's funny? Like when I played roller derby, we used to like end our training sessions and we used to like hug everybody. Like, and we used to do this before games too. We would hug every other person on our team and say, "I've got your back."
nice.
We were
I
like,
feel like, so I play roller derby as well.
"Oh,
So I literally just started because I had to do a learn to skate because I could not skate at all. But also I've like learned that as I've grown older, like all these places where I maybe thought like people would be really judgmental and really like scary, I guess, like intimidating places like roller derby or even like, you know, the wargaming community tend to be like the nicest, most accepting and loveliest places that there actually are. Like you think like all these places sound really scary and I'm really intimidated to get into it or like to let loose or get comfortable within these environments. And actually like when you do, it's like so rewarding and some of the nicest places that you can actually experience.
can I give you a piece of roller derby advice since you are
Yes,
just beginning your journey? Buy the most expensive 187 knee pads that you can.
Okay.
Do
Yeah.
not skimp. They're like $110 Canadian. Please buy
So, like,
them
10
because
pounds.
I didn't. I didn't for like my first 3 years, and I developed arthritis. So please buy the expensive ones. The memory foam, and they're like this thick, and like yeah, just do it, please.
Nice. I'm using some borrowed kit at the moment, you know, when they like pass down some kit throughout the ages. So that's what
Please
I'm
don't.
on at the moment.
Please don't.
I've got like a jelly baby like helmet, some leopard print knee pads. So I'm like they're all different colored and mix matchy and I
Oh
mean
my god, like
it looks how I feel out there
I'm
for sure.
almost in the right mind to just like mail you my old ones because I have arthritis, so I can't play anymore. But yeah, don't skimp on your helmet and don't skimp on your knee pads. But like your elbow
Yeah.
pads, your wrist guards, like anything else, like who cares? Just buy whatever's cheap. But yeah,
Knee
Cool.
Okay,
pads
thank you.
are the money. Hey, Nurgle Snurgle, how's it going? The community is the best. You know, when I found out that the Warhammer community was the community I belonged in, is when I started playing Warhammer. And I was in ninth grade? I was like 12. No, that's fourth grade. No, I'd been playing for a little bit, but this was the first time that I braved. Was I 7th grade? I was young. I was like 12 years old, and I braved bringing a white dwarf to school. Okay, like I brought a white dwarf, and I sat down in the cafeteria, and I'll never forget this moment. But one of the seniors with a like crazy shaved mohawk head, like giant compared to me, like walked up to me, and goes, "White dwarf, eh?" It's like, "Come see me after lunch." I was like, "Oh shit, I'm gonna get beat the shit up. This is gonna be terrible. I'm terrified." And literally, he grabs this white dwarf, pulls me to his table with all his friends, and goes, "Hey, this kid plays Warhammer." And from then on, I had like the tightest misfit group of friends all through like middle and high school. And it was the coolest thing ever because it was from like all walks of life, like preppy rich kids and like, like just people from everywhere just all played little toy soldier games. And we were all completely different, but there was like one thing that joined us all together. And since then, I was like, this community is like, I always connected with people from all walks of life because of little toy soldiers, and that's my story. Because we
I'm
were
gonna
all
admit
weird.
something.
Mm-hmm,
I
mm-hmm.
still don't feel like I belong here.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I sometimes like I'll get glimpses like I belong here, and then like somebody will say something that makes me feel like I do things differently, and then I'm like, I don't belong here. Like I just sort of have this cycle of like, well, maybe I do belong. No, I don't. Maybe I do. No, I don't. And yeah, like I want to, like I'm working through it in therapy and stuff, but like, how do you know if you belong? Is it
How
just
do
like
I
a
you
mean,
feeling
belong?
that
I
you
have no
get?
idea. I'm waiting for the answer because I feel
Yeah.
the same as you. Like sometimes I'm like, oh my goodness, like this is perfect. Like I found my place. This is it. And then I think you get all the doubts of like, no, I'm doing this terribly wrong, or this is definitely not for me. Like I'm not the same as everyone else. And I think that's pretty normal. I think, you're not supposed to be the same as everyone else in life. And, even if you're in like a small knit community, or well, it's quite big Warhammer, but if you're in your little gaming stores, there's still going to be loads of people who do it differently than you do. I think I've learned as I've gotten older as well. I'm 80 years old and I know everything. I literally know nothing about anything, so I don't know why I'm giving some form of advice. But I don't know. I've never really wanted to fit in, so I think like why start now? Like I can be part of a community without actually like fitting in and being like the same as everyone else. So I'd rather be like a completely different way of like, I've never been very girly girl or I've never been really like tomboyish. Like I've always just like floated between everything. And I quite like it that way because, it's a lot of variety and it's nicer to do it my own way than it is everyone else's, even if they think I'm wrong or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Well, I will
I don't know
say
if that
that
helps.
like it's like life is life, right? Every single experiences may vary, and
Yeah.
and that's literally life, right? But
And
if it,
I think because I sort of started dabbling in Warhammer back when it really wasn't a kind place, and things have changed a lot since then. I think it colors how I still see my interactions within this hobby,
mm-hmm,
and and yeah, I don't know how to like stop it from having like an impact now.
mm-hmm. No, makes sense. We've got some people in chat saying there's definitely a disconnect between jerks in the hobby who only interact online, or some people you meet face to face, which also happens that you will meet jerks face to face too, right? They definitely, I found they're few and far between, right? However, they do tend to conglomerate in groups. That goes a long way. The people can act a certain way behind anonymous usernames. Correct. Yeah, but that's true of any online like interaction. Plus, it's been exacerbated. I think that's the right word. From 2 years of not being able to interact socially, where people can just say whatever they want and nobody's going to punch them in the face. Like, to be honest, there's like a disconnect with people where they just kind of there's no consequences to them saying things, and they don't see that interaction right away of that consequence happening from a face-to-face conversation, and that's sort of like emboldened people, if that makes sense. Not necessarily always in a good way. Wholesome story, says Nurgle Snurgle. Yeah, I do think that's a wholesome story. Weeks in, when you realize they haven't asked you to leave and instead ask when you'll be back. Yeah, that's, a lot of the times, you don't feel you fit into something, and then people are like, where are you? What you doing? Like, come hang out with us, They want you to belong, right? Carco says, long time not checking the stream, but welcome back. Thanks for coming to hang out. And JC says, great way to put it, Nicole. So that's a good way of looking at it. I like it. Which one did I just do? I just did this one, I think. Okay.
So Nicole. No, enough about you, Skari.
No, I said... Oh, yeah, sure. I did start that sentence with I'm, so go right ahead, Tanya.
Nicole, what's your derby name?
Okay, so I haven't actually solidified it.
Okay.
But someone at practice said Nicole Skidman. And I kind of love that, so I might be going with that one.
I love it.
To be fair. So, what was yours?
Hannibal Lecter.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah.
You
I still have my
jersey. Fan?
Yes. Yeah, but like older. I don't like the new, like, really realistic gore and stuff like that. I like more of like the
films.
Yeah, like I like the cheesy ones, or like Silence of the Lambs is more of a psychological thriller. I like those too. Yeah, the ones that just rely on like gore special effects to like sell you on it, I'm not into that. It needs to be like a little bit either smart or dumb, like on the spectrum. You can't be like anywhere in between. Yeah.
That does make sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do like the really dumb horror films. Like, have you ever seen Killer Clowns from Outer Space?
Yes, I own that one. I actually love really stupid horror movies. So, like, there's one movie that I will never ever get rid of, and it's Hard Rock Zombies, and it literally looks like it's filmed on like an old high 8 camcorder. It's terrible, and it is about like a really bad glam metal kind of group in the 80s, and like there's like Nazis and there's zombies, and it's just like the worst movie ever, but I love it so much. Also Reanimator, I love that movie. Like the more you can like see the special effects, I guess, like the more I like it.
Yeah, there's one that I need to watch, and it's something about like a priest who turns into a dinosaur.
What?
Yeah, and it's on Amazon Prime, but I haven't watched it yet because I'm trying to get my boyfriend to watch it with me, and I'm like, please, we need to watch it, and he's like, I am not watching it. Like, I showed him like the trailer, and at one point they just like instead of like there's like an explosion or like a car crash, and instead of like putting anything there, they just put special effects in like text.
Let's do a watch party. Let's watch it together.
Yeah, that would be great. Like, just really stupid stuff like that just kills me. I love it.
That sounds absolutely hilarious. Mm-hmm. Nicole, says Siegs, do you play any other tabletop miniature or any similar games or any board games? Anything like that you really enjoy?
In terms of like games? Other games that I play, like I don't really play anything else tabletop wise. I mean, I've played like normal. I say normal board games, not normal board games, but the games that you normally play at Christmas or something like that, and Scrabble and the Game of Life and games that normally end in you having arguments with your family. I played those, but in terms of like actual games that I play, I'm more like an Xbox console kind of girl, I guess. I play like Dead by Daylight, which is like a little horror game. I play like Friday the 13th, Skyrim, some stuff like that. Like those are the kind of games. I've been playing WWE quite a little bit at the moment and enjoying that. But those are the kind of games that I've been playing off the table, I guess. But I'm trying to really I don't actually know much about 40k. I mean, I know the basics now, and I think I could play like a small game. But I'm not ready yet to be able to I couldn't go on stream with the guys or anything like that. So I really need to step it up really and start playing a lot more. It's just finding the time, and because I think as a newbie as well, I'm gonna take a really long time to play games, picking up the dice and flipping through the codex, trying to find all the rules. So I think, necessarily it's not going to be as fun of a game for my opponent, especially if they've been in the hobby a long time and they know all the rules. I don't get, I have memorized scripts before, but these codexes and all these different rules, and today we were filming terrain rules, and I was like, why is there so many rules for terrain? Why? It's just it's mad. There's so many rules for everything, and trying to remember all the particular rules and what they do to the dice is insane. So trying to play a game with Steve or Michael, and I have a really, really low attention span as well. So them trying to teach me and play with me is probably driving them mad. Because I'm just haha, so what does that mean? And they've explained it 50 times, and I'm like, cool. And then they'll ask me okay, so what do you hit on? And I'm like, I don't know. So it takes a really long time for me to get through a game. So I definitely need to step it up, but it's trying to find the time to play with the guys when we're working or outside of work, and actually trying to get a game in where I can learn. I need to also read the codex. It's really bad. I don't I find it really hard to sit down and read anything that takes effort to sit down. Sit down and watch things. I can watch everything. But sit down and read, or sit down and paint and stuff like that. I really need to take some time for myself and give myself some time in the day or the week to sit down and do some hobby stuff so that I can actually learn and progress in the game.
I find it really doesn't do very much for me if I do extended sort of study sessions. I know study sounds really bad, but so I have reading comprehension issues, so I could just go through and read the rules, but I won't nothing will stick in my head. I have a really hard time deep reading the rules, and not a lot of people talk about it, but I feel like Games Workshop rules are their own language, right? You have to deep read, and each word means something specific, right? And I don't know, I find that men have an easier time with it for some reason, because I've talked to a few women, and we will interpret a rule completely different than how the men will, because they'll read into each word, right? Whereas I don't do that. A few of my other female friends in my local area don't do that. So I have a hard time with that. So I have to sit down and be okay, I make cue cards for all of my units that have their special rules, and then they'll also have other rules that affect the faction entirely on there, so that I can see how the rules sort of affect their stat line, or how they do saves or things like that. Because I don't know what it is about reading Warhammer rules, it just does not work for me at all. So I break it down into small pieces, and I'll make a little bit of a cue card, and then I'll go have a walk or eat some ice cream or something, and I'll come back and do a little bit more, because I find it's brain overload.
Yeah, it really is. When I think as well, when someone's talking at you and they're trying to teach you it, it's very hard to get all this information in your brain. I feel like I'll pick up on the first word and then it's like a mumble of words and like got that, and I'm like,
I
yeah,
wouldn't be
I
able
think so.
to. I
And then
wouldn't be able to.
and then in practice it's all gone. It's all gone. I don't know where it goes, but I think it goes like in one ear and my brain is like, I'm gonna try, I can't, and it just goes back out.
So I'm like a super visual learner. So if people are just talking to me, it doesn't like really mean anything. So sometimes if I'm trying to figure out what a rule does, I'll like actually take some miniatures and I'll set them up and be like, okay, this is what this looks like. And I've actually started doing like doing videos about it, about like how I've used these kind of like visual techniques to learn these rules. Sometimes I have to draw pictures, sometimes I have to use the models to sort of like act out what's actually happening. But yeah, I don't know. I seem to struggle a lot with the rules. I don't know if other people do. People don't really talk about it. So it makes me feel like I'm the only one that struggles, but
Warhammer has made me feel very very not intelligent. Like
right? Me
um
too. I'm like, I'm an idiot. Everybody else seems to grasp this super easily. Why am I struggling and nobody else is?
like I always thought I had like average, maybe slightly below average intelligence until people tried to explain Warhammer to me. And like even like the basic math aspect of it, like I did all right in maths, but put it in this context and suddenly I forget what basic maths is. I forget what these words mean, and it's just like it's really like overwhelming, especially when you're like new and don't know any of these words. Like there's so many different words and I don't know what any of them mean, and that's why like as well, like me and Steve have sat down and like basic training, because I was like, I don't understand it. Like I'm really sorry, but I don't understand it. And maybe that's just me, like not grasping what it actually means. But I think it is confusing. And I don't know if it's people are just not saying that it's confusing and because they're worried that other people don't find it confusing, or if it's just if it's just me and I'm just can't grasp it. But it is like a very, very insane complex thing to try and grasp, which I think is probably why a lot of people maybe don't get too far into the hobby. Maybe like do some painting and don't actually play, is because there's so many rules and there's so many different, different codexes, different rules for terrain, different rules for everything. And it's like, how do I remember all of this? How am I even gonna stand a chance at any point to remember all of this?
And see, I think that there's a difference between coaching and teaching. And Skari, like, how do you feel hearing all of this, like, as a coach?
Well, I'm in a unique position that I've been playing this game for 23 years or something like that. That's more than some people that play this game have been alive. And so considering that it's literally what I think about and talk about on a consistent basis, for me it just becomes second nature to kind of talk about all this stuff. So I can't really relate to it being hard, because for me it's just a lot easier because it's just a language that I've been speaking for 20 some years. Right, in terms of rule development and thought process and gaming and like rules interactions, and I understand, like I get it. You know what I mean? Like it's like, but I don't understand, like, I don't know, German. I don't understand German as a language, but I understand like the game that GW's written. So when you're saying that it's like a language, I agree with you. I think it's definitely like its own language, which you sort of have to get versed in. Like, as a coach, I get a lot of folks, and I'm assuming the Vanguard Tactics as well, just get people who want to learn the basics of the game because it's so confusing, and you just kind of want to have a base, and you've just come back into it, or it just feels so overwhelming that it's nice to have a guide to kind of like take you through the basic steps and understand like how it works and stuff like that as well.
I think I'm definitely in a very, very privileged situation of trying to learn the game because I am surrounded by a lot of coaches at the studio. Like I'm constantly with Steve and I'm constantly with Michael, and they are constantly talking about Warhammer, and they're trying to teach me the best that they can. And so I do think, if I can learn it, anyone can learn it. But I also think, it takes time. And I think you have to allow yourself like a lot of time to be able to sit down and learn this. And like, I'm not even talking like a couple months. Like, it's been like a year being around the hobby and I still don't know anything. So I think it's like, yeah, obviously I'm like not as involved. Like, I'm not going and playing every day and watching load of videos and really involved in the community. So I'm more like casually involved in it, I guess. But then saying that, I also do it as a job and I am around it, 5 days a week. So you would have hoped that I'd pick up something. But I think, if you're trying to learn it from scratch, give yourself a lot of time. And even if you've been in the hobby for years, like the rules are constantly changing and things are constantly, there's new rules being added and things are getting worded differently. So I think if that is confusing you, I think that's completely normal. And I don't think anyone should have to be like, yeah, I understand everything about the game. And I think if anyone did say that, they were probably lying, because there's probably a few things here and there that confuse them.
Well, and it's like literally impossible to know absolutely everything. I do this for a living, and even I don't know everything, right? Like it doesn't, like I understand concepts, and the concepts tend to repeat themselves over the course of many codexes, but it's net like I can't know everything. It's just not possible.
How does it make you feel inside, though, hearing that, like, it's really difficult for some people to learn this game? Like you said, and I have experienced this, a lot of veteran players to be like, oh, it's easy. Oh, it's easy. And that doesn't help. So, like, how does it make you feel knowing that your friends are struggling to even get the basics?
How
does it make you feel about the game?
I love the game. Like, the game, it doesn't change my feeling about the game because I really enjoy the game. And that's
so you, but like, you don't want it to be easier for your friends to learn?
I'd love it to be easier, but I don't have a feeling towards it. Like, it would be great for it to be easier. More people playing.
It just makes me
but I don't have
really
like, an
sad.
about it.
It just really makes me sad. I mean, obviously, I've stepped away from 40K because I can't keep up, right? I was devoting over 5 hours to, like, studying, right? Like, not just reading through and flipping through on the can, right? Like, I've got my multiple books out so I can cross-reference rules. I'm making my cards, and I just couldn't keep up anymore, and I was spending more time doing that than actually playing games. And, like, I've seen people in my local be like, yeah, I want to learn how to play. And they play 3 games. They're like, I don't want to learn how to play anymore. And that makes me really, really sad.
Mm-hmm.
Right? That being said, Age of Sigmar is pretty awesome.
It is really
fun.
The
models look insane for that as well. I think I really like the more medieval kind of like fantasy feel that it gives. But obviously, I mean, being surrounded by 40K, because that is mainly what we play here, and a bit of Kill Team, which is a bit easier to pick up as well. I mean, it's hard because I know people who have been in the hobby for years don't want it to be like super easy, because then it gets boring for them. But then it's trying to find that balance between allowing new players to actually be able to start playing and be able to start having fun. And that's the main thing, is like, have fun with it. It's like, okay, if you're doing it wrong, you're doing it wrong. But at least get to a point where you're able to have a game and you're not just getting thrashed, or it's not just like I'm rolling so many dice and I don't know what's happening. And finding that balance of like not overcomplicating it, but also not undercomplicating it for people who have been in the hobby for years and still want that excitement and that puzzling aspect of what is happening.
I will say, I think that there's a difference between being a teacher and being a coach. And like, I don't know the game that well, but I feel like because I struggle so much and I don't have really anybody to help me learn the rules, I feel like it makes it easier for me to teach others. And yeah, I do feel like people who have been in the game for 20 or 30 years are really fucking bad at teaching people how to play this game. I'm going to do that hot take right now, because they are so far removed from the learning process that they don't know where the basics are. That's what I'm going to say.
I think, yeah, the thing is, like, this is literally why me and Steve sat down and we were like, we need to kind of like redo the basic training, is because I didn't understand it. And there's a lot of terminology and a lot of, words that they use that are like you said, a different language to someone who doesn't.
Deep strike. You will not find that anywhere in any of the books for this edition. But we use it all the time.
Even abbreviations like ROD or stuff like OBSEC and everything like that. Like, what is it? Like, it's things that you as a player who's been in the, like, not me, but, they've been in the community for years and years and years and, grew up with it like it is their language. So when you're saying that, you're not thinking, oh, this person doesn't know what it means. And I think it's also a fear of, you don't want to be over patronizing and you don't want to be like, this means this and this is this. But sometimes you need that, because these words, I don't know what they are. And even phrasing them with like normal words just doesn't help. Like, I don't want you to use it in a sentence. I want you to show me exactly what that means and break it down.
That's why I started doing my little 3-minute videos, sort of breaking down different rules and things. So if you have any suggestions of rules that you need a visual to learn, or things that have come up that you need a visual, let me know and I'll do a little 3-minute video that will show you what it means, because I think I'm pretty good at making it super concise. And for me, the visual really, really helps. I draw pictures for everything.
Well, it's super useful to have, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, some people do learn just by having somebody yak at them. And this is actually something that I've had to talk to the guys about on Forge the Narrative, because we do a lot of not really deep dives into new codexes, but sort of pick out the kind of interesting things that are in new codexes and whatnot. And so they'll just be blah, 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 read out the rule and be like, what do you think, Tanya? And I'm like, I don't know what you just said, right? So I can't be the first person that they ask for my thoughts, because I have to write everything down and draw pictures while they're talking about it, so that I can digest it to gain any sort of sense about what they're talking about.
And I think it's important as well to give props to people who do have to learn that way and do have to take the information and break it down and draw pictures or write it out themselves, or there's no wrong way to learn, but also it's just that comes with so much more effort as well. I'm really jealous of the people who can just listen and be like, I get it, because
Me too.
I'm never gonna be that person. I'm gonna have to, and it's gonna drive, I'm sure it drives Steve and Michael mad, being asking them the same questions over and over again. But I don't know. I'm not really afraid anymore of being a person who doesn't know what's going on, because on stream, for example, I was really, really nervous about being a commentator on stream, because I was but I don't know. I don't know what's going on. I have no idea. And Steve would be like, so what did they do? And I was like, moved. I don't know. I looked at the board and it would look the same. And I'd be panicking, please don't ask me, because I have no idea. But then he kind of was no, play on that, use that, because there's people watching, and there's it's not just you who doesn't know what's going on. It's people who have probably tuned in and I have no idea what's going on, and tuned back out. But then if they've got someone there who genuinely doesn't know what's going on, because there's a difference between someone like playing like, oh, I don't like, I'm going to ask these questions as someone who already knows the game and I'm going to try and get an answer there, to someone who genuinely doesn't know the game, like, and doesn't know any of the wordings. And you can say something to me and I'll be like, I don't know what that means. Like, you know, like, where you can say someone who maybe is not necessarily pretending, but, you know, playing that person who has to ask the questions and be the interviewee, and asking those like questions, trying to explain things, they'll be like, oh, you know, this is just, and they'll like add loads of terminology in there, and then the other person will be like, yeah, that's really clear. And yeah, it's really clear if you've been playing the game for 20 years, sure. But if you've just like jumped on, thought, what is Warhammer 40k, and onto this video, and you start watching it and you're like, I have no idea.
Yeah.
And then you get overwhelmed and you just turn off, and then you never ever explore it ever again.
Yeah. So I've been a guest on Play on Tabletop a few times, and they actually have battle reports with commentary, and people in the comments are still like, I still don't know what's going on. It's just like I guess I just want to help everybody because I know how frustrating it is trying to learn, and I've put a lot of effort into trying to learn. And yeah, I just wish that there was a better way to learn this game.
Yeah, I mean, obviously Vanguard Tactics, we have started this basic training and reformatted it in a way that hopefully, because I've been asking the questions, but even like I've been around the hobby for like little under a year, so I've still picked up on a few things that a complete new player maybe won't know some of the terminologies. But hopefully, as someone who's come in and has no idea what's going on, that will help people who are also in the same boat, like help them a little bit. And obviously, because like the academy is great for people who want to improve their competitive play, but for anyone who is just starting out and you don't know where to start, like there's not really anything there at the moment to be like, from like, you have just discovered what Warhammer is, where do you go from here?
Yeah, there's not a lot of resources for that sort of thing out online. Jumping into the chat real quick, we have to learn it as a whole over time, you feel you have to reach that level a much shorter time. Definitely not alone. We kind of stumbled through it and did things half wrong until it worked. Maybe because we're learning from someone who already has it. Yeah, makes sense. Oh, Raymond says the name of that movie is Velocipaster.
Yeah, yeah, that's the one.
That sounds really fun.
Amazing.
Hello, Cosmic 3Net. What's going on? What was everyone's entry game for Games Workshop? Space Hulk was my first love. Talisman plus Beer was great as well, says Paul. Mine was just Warhammer 40,000 3rd edition. That was my entry game.
I guess like I have two entry points because I started out in 7th edition Warhammer 40k and I did not like that rule set at all, so I didn't play. But I loved the lore and the models, so I guess technically that was like my first entry point. But my first entry point to actually playing any games was the first was AOS 1.0, but like after they brought in points.
Yes, because it was kind of silly without any points.
It was super silly.
100%. Okay. How about you, Nicole? 40k?
I mean, yeah, 40k 9th edition right now. This is my introduction to, I mean, Games Workshop and wargaming, which is, I think it's good and bad. Like, it's like, okay, I feel like I'm diving in at the deep end a little bit. Like, there's probably some games that I could have looked at first and maybe picked up a bit quicker and started playing on tabletop and having a lot more fun to begin with those games. But I like that I'm jumping in at the deep end, and I'm going to try and learn that and, you know, get on it and have fun on the tabletop, and maybe one day you'll see me on the stream.
I think
crying.
I think that you're like a really valuable resource for Vanguard Tactics, right? Because was there ever anybody that was brand new to the game on the team before?
Not that I know of. I know, like, I think because basically Steve started VT by himself, and then I think he was working with Joe before, who and Joe obviously knows the game, knows a lot about the game, and then I came in, and so I came in and I was like, what is all of this? And like, I mean, obviously it starts out and I don't know what they're talking about, but obviously people who they're the audience will know what they're talking about. So it started out with like, I'm kind of like on a back burner production kind of like role, which is what I wanted. And I was interested in the game, but I was never like, oh, I'm going to be involved like commentating, or I'm going to be like anything like that. Like I was never thinking that I would ever be involved in that way or creating like a product with Steve. And then he sat down and did basic training like this time last year, I think, or just after, maybe like 5 months ago, 6 months ago, I don't know. I'm really bad at keeping up with times. I don't know.
Time has no meaning right
yeah,
now.
Time has
is
no
just a concept,
meaning.
So. But yeah, and he sat down and did the basic training, and he was like, why don't you watch that and see if that will help you? And I watched that and I launched that, and it did help. I'm not saying it didn't help, because it did. It taught me some basics, but there was still a lot of questions that I was finding myself having, and there was still a lot of things that I didn't understand. So I realized that I keep going on tangents. I'm like, what was the question again? Oh yeah, do they have anyone else on the team who doesn't know what? No, just me. To conclude, it is just me.
So I feel like that's a valuable resource, because you can basically go through basic training and be like, this doesn't work for me, this doesn't work for me, this doesn't work for me, and then they can go back and they can revisit it and be like, well, how about this? Does this work? Right?
Yeah.
Like I feel like that's really valuable.
And that's basically what I've been doing since I kind of got here, is picking stuff apart, really. Not like in a negative way, just being like, okay, well, I don't understand that. Like, what does that mean?
Mm-hmm.
And then going through that and being like, okay, will players know that? Or like, because some things aren't always targeted to people who are brand new. So sometimes my input doesn't matter, but isn't necessarily relevant because it's not targeted. It's targeted to someone who would know more than I do. But a lot of the time, I think it's quite valuable to go in with someone who knows nothing, because it is picking apart those things where people don't want to get involved in because it's too confusing, because it's too overwhelming. So we really need to highlight, why is it so confusing? Why is it so overwhelming? What are these parts that we need to like go in and decipher, so that we can actually introduce new people into the game and be like, hey, come over here. We'll take care of you. We'll teach you how to play the game, from discovering what it is to being able to play and have fun on tabletop. Not necessarily playing like 2,000 point games and having loads of fun with it, because I think that is what I've learned, like, because my goal was, I was just thinking, oh, I'm just going to play a 2,000 point game and I'm just going to like go. I'm just going to play. And I did. I played a 2,000 point game once, and it was the longest time of my life. And I think someone like put on our chat once, like, I'd love to see Nicole on stream. And I was like, no, you wouldn't. Like, you would not. Because like, if you think it's too long at the moment, like, if you think 3 hours is too long, try like 24 hours, because that's what it's going to be, trying to make
how long it would take
way through a 2,000 point game. So I think it's
sense.
like really important to go through and just maybe like learn with a character or just one unit and just play that way for a long time and just build up really slowly. I know that might sound boring. I think like when you first enter the hobby, you probably think, oh, these characters look really cool and I'm going to build this massive army and I'm going to paint these all up. And the reality is that I can't paint. I can't learn the rules.
Yet.
And yeah. But the
Yes.
reality, like, coming into it is that you're not going to be good at painting these miniatures because it's not like anything you've ever done before. Even if you're an artist, like, I think you're still going to really struggle. And you're not going to be able to know all the rules, and you're not going to be able to play straight away these characters that you want to play on the tabletop and these armies. Like, I want to play Drakari, but I have to learn a little bit with
Skari!
yeah.
Well, you know,
you've got no competition. Don't worry.
I don't mind more Archons for the slaughter, which is really, really good. But you know, it's really cool because Danny says, for me as a new player, real bloated parts of the rules are terrain and stratagems, and that's something, you know, transports, deep striking rules, being able to play models you're playing. To be honest, you know, the game has a lot of different things. You know, Vanguard Tactics is great. You know, has a great basic training, like get on to basics, like training program, which I, you know, highly recommend. You know, Box and the team and Nicole and Jake and all of you guys, you know, are just really like committed to helping newer players and helping veteran players play the game right. You know, so it's really cool to kind of showcase what you've been doing and doing all that stuff. Now we are coming to the end of the show here. So Nicole, I know it's crazy. 90 minutes goes out like this when you're having a good time.
It does go really, really quick. Yeah.
I know. I painted, to answer your question, Danny, I was building some Corsairs, which are almost done. I'm going to be mixing them in with some Drakari, and instead of 10 models, I'm trying to build like 15 to 20 of them, just mix and matching some Kabalite warriors, some Guardians. I'm going to like be kit bashing this whole unit to make it look really cool. But other than that, Nicole, why don't you tell us a little bit about what you have coming up with the pipeline, where folks can find you. You got your Instagram where you're going to be showing off Mr. Box dancing and singing a lot, which I think will be really fun. So, yeah, why don't you let us know where folks can find you?
Uh-oh.
Oh, did she?
Did we lose her?
Did we lose her? We might have right at the moment.
Right at the moment.
Right at the moment. No, there you're
There
back.
she is.
You're back.
Hello, sorry. I had to go on my laptop.
Okay, so you're cutting in and out again for listening, but if anybody is wondering, we'll put a link to your Instagram on the description and all that stuff. Make sure you check out Nicole on Insta, and of course the Vanguard Tactics team, who is doing awesome stuff for the hobby. Other than that, it's been an absolute pleasure, Nicole, for having you on. You've been doing some terrain building, which is great. This has been really fun. There you go. That's right. Yeah, terrain. That's how. If you want to learn some confusing stuff, learn how to terrain. Tanya, why don't you tell us a little about where folks can find you and where people can, what you have coming up the pipeline? Because you're almost ready to launch your Patreon, and you've got your Discord and all that stuff. Because you know, to create some cool content, which I'm really excited about as well.
So I'm going to be doing like the grand reopening of my YouTube channel next week is when it all starts. So I'll be doing some live streams, and Be Nice Roll Dice is back. We'll be doing some videos explaining the rules of Warhammer 40k because it is confusing. No matter what anybody else tries to tell me, I don't believe them.
Mm-hmm.
So you can find me on my YouTube channel. You can also find me on Forge the Narrative podcast. That's forgethenarrative.net. Which, despite the name, is actually a very competitive podcast. So, you know, there's that. And you can also find me on Instagram. I do hobby updates to Instagram, and I wax poetic about life in my stories.
I love it. Make sure you check out Tanya Gates, the War Mistress, on Instagram. And, of course, all this cool stuff coming up. We'll be talking about that as the week comes up, and we'll be doing more of that stuff, which is really awesome. It's been really fun hanging out with all of you today. Thank you so much, Nicole, for coming on. Thank you, Tanya, for hanging out with me on episode 5, Just Put Paint on It, which is a hashtag that you should use on social media. Because if you have any problems learning the game, then just put paint on it, because you just need to paint things. You know, that's how that works. Other than that, I've been Skari. If you like what you see here, make sure you check the links down below. Give both of these folks love on social media, or you can become a denizen and support what I do on Patreon as well, which is how this is possible. Other than that, the Nesna community is amazing, and I love you all. Thank you so much because you're really fantastic. Thanks for watching, liking,
No, you
sharing.
are.
No, you are.
No, you
We're
are.
going to stay here all day with this. Okay, bye, everybody!